Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by FLURRY Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the FLURRY Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. Tonight is a committee of one. Luke and Trevor both had some stuff going on. Obviously, immediately after the show, we always do a Lombardi Sweep, a Green Bay Packers podcast. Luke will be back for that, and so will Janet Wilson. Trevor out this week. A lot of other fantasy players are out this week as well. We will get to those. If you're new here, obviously a lot of new people. 2 weeks in a row now been the number one top-ranked expert, fantasy football expert on FantasyPros. Number one overall in week 4, number 4 overall in week 5. And we are number 1 for the season. So that's why there's a lot of new people. So if you are a new face, definitely jump in the chat with any questions you got. We usually get way off topic on the show as well because of chat questions, because of stuff we do. So definitely a place to just hang out, have fun, shoot the shit. And we go over my rankings here every single Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central. So if you're watching this live, if you're watching this after the fact, definitely leave some comments and we will get to those. You can go to flurrysports.org to read my rankings as well. And since they are posted and updated throughout the week, you can see when they are updated. That is why your guys' questions tonight take precedent over anything else. You can read the rankings at any point this week. And I really do highly suggest you check them out Sunday morning, especially. There will be an update tomorrow before Thursday night kickoff, Thursday night football kickoff. There will be a bigger update, probably Saturday night, I guess, because of that Sunday morning early international game again. But then there will be another one before the normal noon kickoff. So go to flurrysports.org, find the rankings there. If you're on YouTube, they are in the chat. Bookmark that page. We will be having lots of good stuff there. But yeah, I am just going to jump into it. If you do ask a question, give me a little bit of patience because I'll be flipping back and forth. Usually there's somebody else here to read the question. So, we don't miss any. Today, like I said, committee of one, but let's get into the quarterback rankings for the week. So my number one quarterback for week 6 in fantasy football is Lamar Jackson. He has been very good. Obviously, he's been one of the only consistent players who we drafted to be a top consistent option. He plays at Washington this week. I assume he will be very good there. I got Jalen Hurts coming off of bye versus the Browns. Should have his receivers back. Joe Burrow, number 3 at the Giants. He's been playing better and not a bad matchup, obviously. I'm a little lower on him than the consensus, I do believe. I have Jaden Daniels at 4, and he goes up against Baltimore. I may move him even lower, to be completely honest, throughout the week. So definitely watch that. But if you have him, you're starting him. I mean, there's not much you can do there. I just don't think the Commanders are going to be able to run the ball very well. And you'll see that with my ranking of Brian Robinson a little later. And then I have Jordan Love, number 5 versus the Cardinals. Jordan Love not playing especially good football. But when defenses are giving him a very soft zone, especially in second halves of games when they're down, he is taking full advantage. He is having some receivers with big run after the catch plays, and it's benefiting him a ton. Also, Josh Jacobs can't really finish runs very well, and neither can the offensive line. So a lot of passing touchdowns, especially from outside the red zone, and that is great for fantasy football. Jimmy has a question. Happy Wednesday to you as well. Do we do dynasty advice at all? Yeah, for sure. I mean, in a bunch of dynasty leagues, we don't really publish much dynasty content on Flurry Sports. That's not for a lack of interest. Definitely would love to do that. If anybody wants to write for Flurry Sports, by the way, let me know. Slide into the DMs on Twitter or leave a comment. And that goes for, we're especially looking for NBA, NHL right now. But any fantasy content, anything like that, work alongside me, maybe even appear on one of these streams. Para, offer Jalen Waddle and Dontavian Wicks for Nico Collins. My other receivers are Justin Jefferson, Deontay, and Tank Dell. Love that. I absolutely love that. Obviously, Jaden Waddle for the short term isn't great. They have a bye this week. Tua's out for at least one more week after that, and then we'll see. But even still, Tua wasn't good when he was playing this year, and who knows how long he's going to be playing after he comes back. So big question mark there. And as a Packer fan, love Dontavian Wicks. I think he's the most skilled wide receiver the Packers have, true wide receiver. Second overall, Jaden Reed's very good, obviously. He's just not going to be consistent in the offense at all. He's the wide receiver 4, and the 6th best offensive option when everyone's healthy, I would say. And that's, again, not because of talent. It's just because of role. Jimmy Tracy for mid-second. That's interesting. 10 versus 12 teams definitely changes things, or if it's even larger. But I think I like Tyrone Tracy. I think he played well. This upcoming draft is going to be so running back heavy. I don't hate getting a mid-second. I guess. I think you can get a good running back next year. Now, if I'm a super running back needy team, I don't know if you're receiving or getting Tracy. If I'm super running back needy, I think Tracy has a role the rest of the year. 10 teams. So, yeah, that helps you a little bit. I think Tracy has a role the rest of the year. Obviously, Singletary, I think, is going to be the RB1 when he comes back healthy. But I think it's going to be a true split. And we've seen how good he can be when Singletary is out. You were stacked on running back. So I don't know which side of the trade you're getting. I think you're getting the mid-second. If you're stacked on running back, I definitely am cool getting that mid-second. You have Jonathan Taylor, Breeze, Hall, and Devon Achane. So, yeah, you're stacked. If you're trading Tracy to the Singletary owner or to somebody pretty needy at running back right now, and they have a decent rest of the team, I think you may even be able to squeeze them for something a little bit more, like the mid-second, and then, depends on how many rounds you got, a 5th or 4th, whatever. But yeah, I like it. I would get the draft pick in this situation. I think you're selling high for sure, which is all we're trying to do. It's just a stock market. Other running backs or quarterbacks, rather, of note that I have ranked. And then every week, by the way, we look at the rankings and we compare them to the consensus, and we usually talk it through. So it'll say who I'm higher on than the rest of the industry, lower on, etc. I think that's a nicer way to look at it, because no one's going to pitch a perfect game with this. But if you know where I'm leaning, like if I like this guy a little bit more, it's kind of a start-sit article, if you will, in rankings form. I can already tell you I like Caleb Williams more than what the consensus is going to do. Obviously, international game, so anything could happen, but I like him against the Jaguars. Jaguars aren't that great. I know they're getting some people back, but Caleb Williams is doing exactly what I said he was going to do. He's going to struggle to start the year because he's a rookie and the offensive line isn't very good. He's going to struggle to end the year because whoever thought you should make a spread team that relies on the pass in the windy city of Chicago is stupid as hell. It's just not going to work. But this middle of the year chunk, the Bears are going to start winning a bunch of games, and I think he's going to look pretty good and be good for fantasy. So all aboard the Caleb Williams trade for the for the next. Let's see. Let's pick the game where he's going to fall off. Oh, week 14 at San Francisco. So, I mean, then he has Minnesota after. Yeah, fantasy playoffs, probably not good, but I think he can definitely get you there. Jimmy getting the second, then pull the trigger, I think. I think you're trading high, selling high. But I don't think it's a bad trade for the other team either. Like, I think it's pretty even, but I would rather have the draft pick in this scenario, especially in your case. Obviously, we have new quarterbacks in this week. It looks like Spencer Rattler is going to be in for Derek Carr. It's not going to be Jake Haener, I guess. We got Aiden O'Connell in for Gardner Minshew. Weird that as soon as Devontae Adams requests a trade away from the team goes with the quarterback he said he wanted. Just a complete clusterfuck there. But yeah, don't love him. And then Drake May is going to be making his NFL debut this week against the Houston Texans. So not the easiest team to play against, especially for your first game. If I'm ordering those quarterbacks, those new quarterbacks joining the rankings here, I would order them Rattler, Aiden O'Connell, Drake May at the moment. I may move Drake May above Aiden O'Connell. I think I like Spencer Rattler or Jake Hayner, whoever ends up being the starter. I think I like them more than the other two, especially because he plays Tampa. So I think that's the easiest matchup of them for fantasy football. But yeah, okay, so just compared to the consensus, I guess. So I am higher on Caleb Williams than the consensus. I have him at 9, and that is 3 spots higher. I'm also higher on Daniel Jones. I know Luke wrote an article on FLURRYSports.org for quarterback streamers this week, and he chose Daniel Jones as one of his favorites. I couldn't agree more. So I have him at 14. That's 3 spots higher than the consensus. He's been playing pretty well, and hopefully he has neighbors back this week then as well. And then I'm higher on Spencer Rattler. I have him at 26. That's 4 spots higher. The only quarterback I am notably lower on at the current moment, this will change, but it's Kirk Cousins. I have him at 16. Consensus has him at 13. I just think the Falcons will have to pass less in this game. There's no reason for Cousins to continue passing as much as Matt Ryan did there, right? I think the Falcons are going to beat the Panthers, and I think he's not going to pass for 500 yards. I think he's going to struggle to pass for 300 yards. So not a knock against him, not a knock against the matchup. I just, just game script. He's not going to be a top 12 guy, Jimmy, I need to do my rest of season rankings as well. I think I'm going to get those out this week. So you'll be able to see those on FantasyPros and on FLURRYSports.org. Caleb or Goff rest of season. Caleb for me. Again, I just think he's going to peter out when you need him most, which is the fantasy playoffs. The good thing is he has the Lions for the first week of the fantasy playoffs, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And that's a good thing if it's at Detroit. So I don't know. If it's in Chicago, like I said, a pass-happy team, spread team in the windy city when it's cold and snowy, I don't think it's going to work, but call me crazy. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it'll work, but I highly doubt it. Brees, rest of season, he's only going to get better. He's one of those players where if you've been watching the past few weeks, it's just my answer is like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to trade him for pennies on the dollar? Because that's stupid. I'm not selling low, especially on someone as good as Brees Hall, but I think he's going to be better. I almost view the way Salah ran the team. There's vibes for how different types of people run football teams. Offensive coordinators who are, the play caller / head coach, they run it very different than the totalitarian, the defensive minded guy, the really, alpha sort of head coach. Salah wasn't the alpha, totalitarian, strong arm defensive coordinator, but I think Ulbrich is. So him coming in, or not coming, but he's there, he's taking over. I think they're going to get back to running the ball a lot. I don't think they're going to get away from that. I think they're going to change the way they run their offense a little bit. So I like Brees Hall because of that. And once the offense just gets better and is able to sustain drives, like he's going to be the guy to finish in the end zone a lot of times. And he's the chain mover. He is the best player that they have. Right? He's going to be better. It's one of those things. Once you get into scoring position more often, he's going to score more touchdowns. It is what it is. That's why you need to be targeting tight ends on teams who have red zone trips because they have a better shot at a touchdown. Okay, Connor, PPR pick 1. We got Juwan Jennings, Jerome Ford, Christian Kirk, Roma Dunze, I'm assuming. There's a couple of Roma Dunze, I'm assuming, and Rico Dowdle. I think we need to check on Nick Chubb because if Nick Chubb's back, obviously Ford's an automatic no. Even with Chubb out, I think I'm going to go Rico Dowdle. Cowboys play who this week? someone who I wasn't afraid of. Dak Prescott is here. Plays Detroit. Okay. I mean, Detroit's actually a pretty good run defense, but I'm not going Jennings, so you don't have to worry about that tomorrow night. Christian Kirk plays the Bears in London or whatever the hell they're going. It's between Kirk and Rico for me. I'm going to go Rico Dowdle. I think he's going to have a decent game. Now, if we get word that Dalvin Cook is going to be active for the very first time this season, that's enough to get me off of Rico Dowdle. I think it's very close, but I'm going to go Rico. Okay. Let's hit up running backs here, half PPR scoring, because that's what FantasyPros grades me on. But if you go to FLURRYSports.org and bring up those rankings, either go to the website or if you're on YouTube, it's in the description. You can flip between half PPR and PPR. So that'll help you out. But the number one running back this week is Derrick Henry versus the Commanders. Washington's been so bad against the run, and Derrick Henry has been so good the past 2 weeks. He's been turning back the clock. He's really good. Saquon Barkley off of a bye versus the Browns. I love that. He's my number 2. I have Jahmyr Gibbs 3 at the Cowboys. That I just feel like he's going to destroy them on the turf. Their run fit has also been absolutely atrocious. So the running attack for Detroit's going to be good. And I think both running backs will benefit. I have Jordan Mason 4 tomorrow night at the Seahawks. I think they just need to get comfortable. And Jordan Mason's going to see a heavy dose of carries in this game. And then number 5, I have Alvin Kamara versus the Buccaneers. I'm inclined to bring him down a little bit. I don't love the matchup. I don't love him as a player. He'll probably get a ton of checkdowns in this game as well because of the inexperienced quarterback. But are they going to be able to sustain drives? I don't know. So I think there's a decent chance Alvin Kamara goes down and Breece Hall would be the one to come up then into my top 5. But yeah, otherwise, other notable running backs here. I don't like Kenneth Walker very much, and I don't like Bijan Robinson very much. I think that's probably going to be the most notable lowers. I'll compare it to the consensus in a second, but Bijan hasn't been great. He's playing the Panthers. This is certainly the game to get right, and I think they can lean on the run and try to get him going. But I kind of think that benefits Tyler Algier more than Bijan Robinson. He just needs to get into the end zone. He just hasn't been great at it. And then Kenneth Walker, again, tomorrow night versus the 49ers. I just don't think the running game is going to get going for Seattle. I think that's what they're going to stop and force Geno to beat them. And if that's the case, Kenneth Walker is going to stumble once again. A running back I do like, it has gone off the past 2 weeks. What's his ranking been? He has been running back 3 and 2 the past 2 weeks. And that's DeAndre Swift. They've been running the ball much better, and they've been using him in more creative ways. DeAndre Swift gets to play the Jaguars overseas this week, so I love Swift. He's my number 8 running back. I think the consensus probably has him outside the top 10. I could probably find that. Yes, so consensus has him at 14. I have him at 8. I like him quite a bit more. I also like James Cook quite a bit more than the consensus. I am at 7. That's 5 spots higher. I like Austin Eckler for the Commanders against the Ravens a lot more than the consensus as well. I have him at 33. Consensus has him at 39. It's just not going to be a game where Brian Robinson is effective, I don't think. He's already hurt, and I just don't think the running game for Washington is going to be great. So they're going to have to pass. I also think they're going to be trailing. That also leans towards the pass as well. So I think Austin Eckler can get some good PPR points in that game. In terms of players I like less, again, Bijan Robinson I have at 9. That's 4 lower. Josh Jacobs I have at 13. That's 5 lower than the consensus. Consensus has him as a top 10 running back. That's wild to think someone could watch the Packers this year and think that. But I understand if you've only watched Jordan Love highlights and not actual Jordan Love. You know what I mean? Brian Robinson Jr., I really don't like that much this week. I have him at 21. That's 4 lower, and I can see myself bringing him even lower. I don't think that rushing attack is going to do well. Bucky Irving, 27. That's 4 lower. That's about it. We need to watch the injury situations. Obviously, Singletary, I believe, was limited in practice this week or today. If he's back, again, I think it's going to be running back 1A, 1B. I think Tracy has a role going forward, but I think Singletary's the 1A. If Singletary's out, I think all of a sudden Tracy is going to be an RB2 again. I think he's an RB2 with upside. Just looking at a notification that popped up on my phone. Spencer Rattler was talking, so I think he is the obvious for sure quarterback this week, by the way. Quote disappeared. Talking about Chris Olave, he says, I make it a key point that when he's in, get him the ball. So does that mean Chris Olave is not going to fall off in terms of targets? We shall see. He's another one of those players where I think he disappears on the field too much. So Spencer Rattler could try to force him the ball and throw a bunch of picks because he is blanketed. We'll see. But I think that quote alone is enough to say Chris Olave owners should probably start him this week. I think that was definitely a question before, but I think you can start him. JJ's got a question. Should I trade Jonathan Taylor for Aaron Jones and Cooper Kupp? Wow, that's a lot of injuries. Or he said I could get Aaron Jones and Mike Evans. Which would you prefer? So you would be getting this fully depends on your running back and wide receiver situation. In a vacuum, I think I prefer to keep Jonathan Taylor just because he's the best player here. But if your wide receivers stink, I think you can get Cooper Kupp back in week 7, maybe week 8. Mike Evans is not a gimme to stay healthy either. So I think I would go Aaron Jones and Cooper Kupp. But if you need wide receiver help this week, obviously you go Mike Evans, right? But yeah, if your wide receivers are stacked though, where it's like Cooper Kupp or Mike Evans when healthy may not even crack your lineup, then I'm not doing that trade. That's an important distinction because a lot of times people ask questions like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in a 6-man league and my starters are Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, and Stephon Diggs or something this week, So if you're not going to start them, don't do that trade. Yeah, I think we've covered running backs a decent amount. I don't know if there's anybody else notable to talk about. Nah. Ramondre Stevenson did exactly what I said he would do last week, by the way. Like, oh, he's not the starter? Okay, who cares? Like, he's by far the better running back. This week, however, I don't love him for whatever that's worth. He didn't practice today because of a foot injury, but he plays versus the Texans this week. I think the Texans are going to take away the running game and say, hey, Drake May, see if you can beat us. Why wouldn't they do that? So for that reason, Stevenson's only running back 17 for me, which is right behind Chase Brown, who has taken over in that Bengals backfield. We knew he's the better player. It's just that the Bengals now trust him, which is good. Okay, wide receivers. Number 1, CeeDee Lamb versus the Lions. Number 2, if he plays, I think he does, Malik Neighbors versus the Bengals. Number 3, I have Jamar Chase at the Giants. Amon-Ra St. Brown 4 at the Cowboys. And then in his return, A.J. Brown, number 5 versus the Browns. I have full confidence A.J. Brown plays this week. I'm pretty darn confident. I should read this news here before I finish my sentence. Okay, Malik Neighbors doesn't practice today. I think he plays this week, but it's a concussion. It can be very tricky. I mean, I would know. I've had 7. So take that for whatever you think you should take that for. Am I brain dead because I have too many concussions? Or am I experienced and I know what he's going through? You know what I mean? I'm just sympathetic to players like him. Number 6, I have Jaden Reed at the Cardinals. I don't think the Cardinals have anyone who can cover him, first off. I don't think they have a good enough pass rush to get to Jordan Love. So combine those two things, Jaden Reed's going to have a couple deep crossers in this game. I think he's going to convert on at least one of them. And he continues to be a monster after the catch and one of the easiest players to get open in the NFL. We'll see if the Cardinals play man against the Packers. One of my stats I found, favorite stats I found this week, Jaden Reed, I think, has like 300 and something yards. He has 6, I believe. 6 against man coverage. 2 catches, 6 yards. I think still a decent amount of targets. Like, no one on the Packers can beat man, but it doesn't really matter because teams keep playing zone against them. Dumb. Okay. Other wide receivers of note, obviously Nico Collins out. He got put on IR, so at least 4 weeks. Stephon Diggs, I have as number 10, so he's the top 10 receiver for me. I currently have Tank Dell at 28. He may inch his way up a little bit more, but I like both of them to be start worthy. I think Dalton Schultz benefits as well. I don't think you really need to start anybody else on that offense in terms of a pass catcher. Obviously, running backs, Joe Mixon, we'll see if he's back. They're pretty confident Dameon Pierce is at least back. Let's see. I didn't look at Joe Mixon's status today yet, actually. Let me give you guys that update, assuming they have one here. He did not practice today, Wednesday. Man, hasn't played since week 2. That's kind of crazy. They may feel like they don't need to bring him back for this game against the Patriots, to be completely honest, but it sounds like Dameon Pierce will at least be back, which means Cam Akers probably not ownable. Daria Gumbawale, obviously not ownable. Dameon Pierce, you're starting him as a flex at best. I don't think he's a fantastic talent by any means. But other wide receivers, I don't love DK Metcalf tomorrow. I have him at 14, and I'm trying to convince myself to bring him lower. So stay tuned on FLURRYSports.org for that. Oh, I did these rankings before the Michael Pittman news. So Michael Pittman will be out for sure this week. They're deciding if he's going to go on IR. We shall see. IR obviously would be at least 4 weeks. They're hoping they can get him back in 2 or 3, missing 2 or 3 games that I'm saying. So we'll see there. Josh Downs today missed practice because of a toe injury. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to play. If both of them are out, though, and again, Pittman is already for sure out, then Alec Pierce, all of a sudden, we've seen what he can do. He's going to be a top guy. He may get L'Jarius Sneed, though. So I'm not going to go all in on him this week, but I think he could be decent. I think he gets Sneed no matter what, actually, because I don't think Sneed's going to cover Downs. But then the rookie there, Adonai Mitchell, like he goes up. He's so talented. Like if he has Flacco throwing to him, and it seems like he will, then Adonai Mitchell's kind of a sneaky streamer. He's a sneaky DFS play. He's someone to definitely keep your eye on because he's so talented. He's uber talented. You just need someone to throw him the ball. And he needs to finish his fucking routes. He needs to run through his routes. But if he does those 2 things, could be a very big week. Okay. Back on your questions. Thanks for your patience. Clip next. I traded Travis Etienne, DK Metcalf, and Kareem Hunt for Justin Jefferson and Charbonnet. I love that. I love it. Assuming, obviously, your running backs are great because you traded away 2 start-worthy guys. But love going up to Justin Jefferson for obvious reasons. I'm not a DK Metcalf guy, so a little biased here as well. But Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to be pretty good for another 6 weeks, probably. 4 to 6 weeks, I would say. That's the only thing. Travis Etienne, you get rid of that headache at least. He's going to have better games ahead, but he's costing you as well. So hopefully you have better running backs to play. Assuming you still have good running backs, I love the trade. Chris over on Facebook. Love the Facebook viewers as well. Do I trade away James Conner and Xavier Worthy for DeAndre Swift and Devontae Smith? Yes. Lineup would be Burrow, Barkley, Swift, Debo Smith, and Brian Thomas Jr. Shout out to him. And just lost Nico. Yeah, I think you for sure do that. Worthy's inconsistent at best. People didn't want to listen to me last week. I'll say it again. With Rashee Rice going down, that doesn't impact Worthy. That has nothing to do with him. His role is not going to grow. That's not the type of player he is. He's a good player, better real life than fantasy. He's going to be inconsistent. And I think Connor's going to get hurt at some point. It is what it is. So I think you upgraded at wide receiver and running back. I think you at the very least stayed the same. Like I love James Conner as well, but Swift is balling. Love Swift more this week. And I think he has a better chance to stay healthy. Clip, who got Justin Jefferson as Kenneth Walker and Rico Dowdle and Javonte Williams. So it's nice getting Charbonnet, obviously, since you have Ken Walker. But you're still, we got to make some moves, I think. I think you're still working for that RB2. I think you're trying to get somebody for that. But wide receivers are great. Yeah, your wide receivers are good. I assume. If you have Justin Jefferson now. Okay. What's the time? 7:32. Cool. Again, 30 minutes or so. Green Bay Packers podcast, Lombardi Sweep. We'll do that here. It'll be myself. I believe Luke Reimer will be able to join. So will Janet Wilson. We'll talk about the Packers. Get some cool insight, I think, for fantasy football and stuff like that. Or if you're just a Packers fan, or if you want it for your sports betting, yada, yada. If you don't know my name in terms of Packers stuff, we're pretty plugged. I'm pretty plugged with the Packers. Definitely broken news been cited in ESPN articles by Bob Domofsky as an anonymous source. And he said that so he did not have to credit me because he hates me. But yeah, we're pretty dialed in with Green Bay, so we can help you out there. And you got Jefferson and Chase for your wide receivers. So yeah. I would, like I said, sniff around on the waiver wire, sniff around to see who's possibly on the trade block and see if you can upgrade your RB2. But overall, you're pretty good. Jimmy with the question. Christian McCaffrey for Chris Godwin. You have Breece, Henry, and Mason. So you would be trading away Christian McCaffrey, just so I know I'm understanding it correctly. Man. If you need a wide receiver, for sure. If you need a wide receiver, I wouldn't hesitate at that point. I think I said last week I'm done guessing with Christian McCaffrey. Let me look at their specific schedule. Because I have an inkling of when he will be back, but let me look at the schedule. Okay. This actually throws a wrench into things a little bit. So week 7, the 49ers are at home against the Chiefs. Week 8, they're at home against the Cowboys. How this week goes, obviously if they lose against Seattle, kind of panic mode a little bit. I don't think he needs to come back against Kansas City. I don't think that matters. I think he comes back week 8, and then he'll have a bye immediately after to rest both Achilles, I guess. Yeah, I think week 8 he comes back versus the Cowboys, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go 3-0 over these next 3 games. He might be out till week 10. So if you need a receiver, do it. So you have Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Devontae Adams. So you don't need one, I don't think. Devontae, I don't think you're going to have this week. You may not have next week either. $12-man team is stacked, made some good trades. What's your record? Like I'm in a 16-team league. I'm the highest scorer in the league. I'm 2-3. So Just because your team is good does not necessarily mean you are great for record, but assuming you are 4-1 or better, I think I'm holding on. I think I want to keep Christian McCaffrey. I'm done guessing when he's coming back, even though I just did. I just spent a couple minutes on it. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey for playoffs would be great. I think you have to hold on to him. 4-1. You're not panicking. You're 4-1. You're good to go, especially if he's in the IR slot, not taking up an active spot for you. You got to keep Christian McCaffrey. You've gone this far. You've gone 5 weeks. I don't think you're going to go another 5 weeks. I think 3 more weeks. I think 3 more weeks and you're going to get him. So I'm also a Christian McCaffrey owner in a ton of best ball leagues, like 60%. I got blessed with that. But it's killing me now. So I would really love for Christian McCaffrey to come back. Okay, other wide receivers. Didn't really talk about receivers that much, did I? Let's just compare it to the consensus so we have a better idea. I'm way higher on Tank Dell. That surprises me. So I have Tank Dell at 28. That's 5 higher than the consensus. That's weird. Nico Collins is out. We've seen what Tank Dell can do as the number 2 option. I think this seems pretty easy, pretty obvious to me. But hey, who knows? Michael Wilson I have at 40. That's 4 spots higher. I like him. Romeo Doubs at 44. I have 8 higher. I think they're going to make it a point for him to get included in the game plan. And I do not hate if you can do first drive bets. You can certainly do first half and first quarter projections on Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLURRY, FLURRY over there, and you can get a $1,000 bonus. How's that for a seamless plug? I know you can do like first half, first quarter yards. They're going to get him involved very early. I can guarantee that. Guarantee it. So I like Romeo Doubs a little bit higher than other people. Sneaky play. Here's a super sneaky deep league sleeper, DFS streamer, DFS budget play, or a deep league streamer. Zay Jones is playing his first game with the Cardinals this week. He plays against the Packers. He'll have secondary Packers coverage. It will not be Jair, even if he plays. I think Zay Jones is a good player, playing his first game coming off suspension, so it's not like there's a ramp-up period for an injury or something like that. I think he's sneaky. I am at 90. That's not very high, but I might move him higher. I think that's a fun play this week. Don't do it unless you're desperate. Mostly do it in DFS. I am 5 spots lower on DK Metcalf right now. I have him at 14. I don't want to play him tomorrow. I do not have confidence. Marvin Harrison Jr., I have at 17. That's 4 spots lower. That will change if Jair is out. I'll move him up. Devontae Smith, I have at 26. That's 4 lower. George Pickens at 33 is 6 lower. Dontavian Wicks at 35 is 7 lower. That's wild. Kelvin Ridley at 43 is 8 lower. Who has confidence in Kelvin Ridley? I'd like to know. Because it ain't me. He may still be suspended from his gambling thing. Like, has he done anything? He's been bad. And no problem, Jimmy. Anytime. That's about it for wide receivers, I think. Again, flurrysports.org, or if you're on YouTube, in the description, go ahead and look there. I like Ray McLeod as well. I'm definitely way higher on him. Tight ends this week. My number 1 tight end, half PPR scoring once again. George Kittle tomorrow night at the Seahawks. I have Brock Bowers number 2 versus the Steelers. Jake Ferguson on Wisconsin, number 3 versus the Lions. Trey McBride 4 at the Packers. Sam Laporta 5 at the Cowboys. I do currently have Tucker Kraft at 6, but once again, I do not trust him. Like, if you were trusting him to be your every week answer at tight end, you're going to be disappointed. This Packers offense is just inconsistent, so there's no shot he has a consistent role. But if you're riding the hot hand, go for it. His snaps are relatively safe because they think he's a much better blocker than Luke Musgrave, which I don't necessarily believe in, but the Packers do. I can tell you that. So if he's run blocking well, then he's going to be on the field. And he's super athletic. Like, he's more athletic than I think a lot of people thought he would be. Luke Musgrave was the shiny new toy. Tucker Kraft just came over from South Dakota and just kicked some ass. He's a good player. But he's going to be inconsistent like every other tight end, essentially. Who else? Mark Andrews, I have at 18. Could fuck around and move him even lower. Part of the reason why I'm ranked number 1 in FantasyPros is because I've hated Mark Andrews from the beginning. Whether, that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's true. I have Dalton Schultz at 14. I'm at 13 at the Patriots. Patriots aren't like the easiest matchup or anything by any means, but it's just moving up the totem pole. Same reason why I like Tank Dell, same reason why I like Dalton Schultz. We've seen Dalton Schultz in this offense as the number 3 option. We've seen Tank Dell in this offense as the number 2 option. We loved it. We loved what happened. And then now we're disappointed because they're lower this year. No, they're going back to their old role. Let's play them. Let's trust it until we don't think we can. Taysom Hill's tricky. Let's see if he's practiced today. Did not practice today. If he does one of those stupid things where he practices does not practice all week, but then he's active, I'm not messing with it. But if he practices at least on Friday, the Saints play the Bucks, and I think they kind of need him. So I think he's going to have a role if he plays. So right now I have him at 22. If he practices this week, I may move him into the top 16. He'll be right around there. If he doesn't practice and he's active, he will be in the Foster Moreau area, which is not an area you want to be in. Let's be honest. Compared to the consensus, Taysom Hill, who I just talked about, I am higher on, I guess. I have him at 22. That is 5 spots higher. I have Eric All at 23. That is 7 spots higher. If you are not paying attention, Eric All has been good for the Bengals. He's been, dare I say, good. The rookie out of Iowa. Iowa did it again. He is earning more snaps. He's got a consistent role. Prior to last week, 3 straight weeks with 4 targets and 4 catches. Doesn't blow you away because that's resulted in 32, 22, and 28 yards. And then last week, 2 targets, 2 catches, 10 yards. Does he have high touchdown upside? No. Does he have high yardage upside? No. But if you're in a deep league and you just need your tight end to not lose it for you, like, he's going to be around the 4 to 8 point range, I guess, for fantasy would be my guess every week. So I have him at 23, and that's 7 spots higher. Consensus has him at 30. I think that's a mistake. Others, I have Noah Fant tomorrow at 25. That's 4 lower. He's just not that involved and not that great. People still have this illusion of what they want Noah Fant to be and what they thought he would be. And Iowa did not do it with that one. I will say that. Chigakonkwo at 27. That's 4 lower. Luke Musgrave at 40 is 9 lower. He should be used more, but he's just not. AJ Barner, we're getting into the nitty gritty. I have him at 49. That's 4 lower. You're not playing AJ Barner no matter what. So I guess I tell you that ranking just for funsies. I don't know. Okay, sweet. Sup, Jackson? You need me? Huge trade. Let's get it. You give up Josh Allen, Marvin Harrison Jr., George Kittle, and Christian Kirk. You get Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. You have Dallas Goedert on your bench. Boy, that is a huge trade. I think, yeah, I think you do it. I think the issue right now with Josh Allen, as a Josh Allen owner in a dynasty league, which, I thought I was solid, like that was a lock, you're good, and all of a sudden it's not that. The issue with Josh Allen is he has proven now that he is not going to be great in games where they have to come from behind and they have to pass a lot. And I'm not even saying that's necessarily his fault. Offensive line, certainly their strength is run blocking, not setting up. And then the receivers just aren't that great. Like you can't really trust the receivers to win. Had a higher there. You can't really trust the receivers to win their one-on-ones. And when you can't do that, that's tough. So assuming the Bills don't trade for a go-to guy, I think their passing attack's going to struggle in those types of games where they are forced to be one-dimensional and not balanced. So all of that to say, Josh Allen, I think he's good rest of season. I don't think he's great, and I don't think he's consistent. So is that a huge downgrade to Mahomes? Probably not really. And then obviously, I think you upgrade at Chase for receiver. Tight end, I think, is even at worst. I think Kelsey's better than Kittle rest of way. And I don't love Waddle, but I don't love Christian Kirk either. Jackson's also delusional. Welcome to the club to think. Or are you delusional? You're not delusional. My bad. To think Kelsey just shot up rest of season rankings with Rice. Not delusional. No. It's like the Chiefs their offense is so complex, and the reason it works is because you have one player just reading the defense out there, one receiver reading the defense. It's been Travis Kelce for several years. To start the year, it was Rashee Rice. So he's running those move routes. That's why Travis Kelce wasn't very good. Travis Kelce was just running the called plays because you can't have multiple players doing that. It would just cause disaster, just chaos. But now Travis Kelce's resumed his old role. He is reading the defenses. He's finding the soft spots in the zone, the uncalled plays. And when he gets to play between the lines, he's much better. So he's great. Again, I do not think he's any lower than George Kittle rest of season. I love George Kittle, but once everyone gets healthier, George Kittle's going to be worse. He's going to have those huge random 2 or 3 touchdown games, and he's going to have those 2 for 20 games. And I don't think we see that from Travis Kelce. Okay, clip. Declined to trade. They're trying to scam you. You received Joe. I should put this up. You received Joe Mixon, Deebo Samuel, Jahmyr Gibbs for Xavier Worthy. What? What? So you received Joe Mixon, Deebo Samuels, and Jahmyr Gibbs for just Xavier Worthy? If that's the case, obviously you accept that. I mean, I'll accept Jahmyr Gibbs for Xavier. I'll accept Joe Mixon for Xavier Worthy. If it's the opposite way, well, you said you received Mixon, Samuel, Gibbs. I mean, take it if you can. Like, I don't know. Take free money. Apple. What do you think about Travis Etienne and Madison for Addison and Kareem Hunt? I love the latter. I think we get at least, it seems like a minimum of 5 more games out of Kareem Hunt, I think. So, Kareem Hunt versus Travis Etienne, I think, are kind of on even playing fields while he has that role. And then I'm not a Madison guy. He's not very good at football. So give me Jordan Addison over him. Flex value for sure. Mega Brick, start one, Purdy Goff or Danny Dimes. Let me look again. I believe I have Purdy highest, but don't count out Daniel Jones right now. I like him a lot this week. Let me see. Yeah, I have Purdy highest. I am highest. You also get to watch somebody in prime time, which is fun. Stinks if he puts up a dud, obviously, and you're waiting the rest of the week. But yes, I like Purdy. I think he's safe. I think he's the safest of the three, and I think he has plenty of upside. It seems like it's going to be a George Kittle game and probably a Jackson Smith, or sorry, thinking the other way. George Kittle and probably a Brandon Ayuk game. I think Samuel could see some tough coverage, but Purdy should be good. He should be fine. Let me look just out of curiosity, and because I can do this quick for you, and we all love learning things together. Let's look at Brock Purdy's games against Seattle. Different defense, obviously. We'll also look at his games against Baltimore because obviously similar defense there. Okay, so Seattle. He's played Seattle 4 times. He's been good. First time as a rookie, 217 and 2 touchdowns. Then he went for, trying to find the chronological order. Then it was playoffs that year, 332 and 3 touchdowns. Then he did 209 touchdown interception. Then 368, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Yeah. Yeah, and that 217, 2 touchdown game was in Seattle too. So he definitely carved them up just fine. Versus the Ravens, he went 255 and 4 interceptions. I do remember that game. That was a Christmas miracle game. I think I had the Ravens defense. I still like Purdy this week. I think he's going to be fine. Clip. Then he offered me Jaden Reed, Chris Godwin, and Brandon Aubrey for Xavier Worthy. You're just not giving up Xavier Worthy? Why? He's fast. Fucking take Mixon, Samuel, and Gibbs. If you're getting that, I don't know. That seems like a joke. I don't know. If that's a joke, whatever. If you're actually getting those players for Xavier Worthy, thank them. Send them a very nice Christmas card. I don't know. You have to do it. If you're getting one of those players for Xavier Worthy, do it. I mean, if you're related, if you love him, if he's like family to you, just because you're that big of a Chiefs fan, get over it. I think. I don't know. You got to do that trade. Okay. I want to do one last thing before we get out of here. He's got cool dreads. He does. That's true. If we're just looking for players with dreads, I mean, maybe make a trade for Laviska Shenault, I guess. I don't know. Let me put up this. If you have not signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, definitely do that. Scan the QR code or go to underdogfantasy.com. There's an Underdog Fantasy app. You can scan the promo or scan the QR code, take you right there. Use the promo code FLURRY, FLURRY, at sign up. You can get a $1,000 deposit bonus. Get that deposit matched up to $1,000. And there's a bunch of promos. It's Boost-tober right now. So there's promos every single day right now in October over on Underdog. And you can make a ton of money, whether it be in individual drafts, like you can do a draft against real people tomorrow night for Thursday Night Football. You can do one for the week. You can do one for NBA best ball, by the way. So full NBA season on there. NHL, golf, UFC, all kinds of stuff. And then there's pick 'em higher or lower for a variety of different stats. Easy money over there, stringing them together for more cash. Well, let's look at tomorrow night's game really quick and give you a pick that you can use. And if you sign up, you'll get a freebie. I know that. There's going to be a freebie promo that you will get. So I would do that. And Peter, I will answer your question 1 second. I just want to check out Underdog here. What's a good pick that you can make right now on Underdog that I love? I don't hate Deebo Samuel over 13.5 rushing yards in a primetime game. Otherwise, what's Jackson Smith and Jigba's yards? 47.5 for him. That's a little steep. 4.5 receptions. That feels a little bit better. I think I would do that. I think I would go higher than 4.5 receptions for Jackson Smith and Jigba, or higher than 6.5 targets. Both seem good. I also like Zach Charbonnet higher than 12.5 receiving yards. That feels very good. Do they have some defensive ones? That's where people don't play defensive props enough. They're easy money. Matthew Wright over 7 kicking points or over 1.5 field goals. He is the kicker for the Niners this week. I like that. I also like Nick Bosa to get a sack in this game. There he is. Rayshon Jenkins, higher than 6.5 tackles plus assisted tackles. Go ahead and do that. You have Mixon and Pittman. You think both are out this week. Pittman is out multiple weeks. Like, he may be out. They're thinking about putting him on IR. So he's for sure out. Make plans there. And Mixon didn't practice today. They may feel like they don't need to bring him back against the Patriots just because it should be an easy win. It's certainly trending in that direction that Mixon's not going to play, which stinks. I thought he was going to play last week. So Pittman's for sure out. Mixon sounds like could be out. Dameon Pierce will be back, it seems like, for Houston. Peter, would you keep Rashee Rice in a keeper league? I don't know how your league does it. I don't know if it's according to round or just whatever. And how many players you get to keep. But I mean, you don't have to make this decision right now, I assume. Next year is the year where Rashee Rice would be punished. So, because I assume his court stuff will get handled after the season leading into the summer, probably this winter, spring. But once he's punished by law, then he'll probably be punished via league. So he's probably going to be suspended to 6 games or something like that. I don't know. So I don't love him as a keeper because of that. But if it's according to round and stuff like that, I think he's great next year when he plays. It's just we'll see when he plays. You would not do Barkley for Kenneth Walker and Swift. Also have an offer to give Barkley for Lamb and Connor. It depends on your wide receiver need, but I don't hate Lamb and Connor. I don't think I would do Barkley for Walker and Swift unless you would obviously very clearly start both of them. But if it's a question of who your RB2 would be, then I'm not doing it. But I like I said, I think James Conner's pretty good still. I think he wears down at some point, but I think he's pretty good. And CeeDee Lamb's an obvious wide receiver 1. So I like that trade. Pick up Downs or Pierce. Downs mispracticed with a toe, so we have to watch that. But I prefer him to Pierce by quite a bit, especially in PPR. Jackson. Is that a trade question from earlier? Yes. Okay. So before, just so everyone's caught up here, Jackson gives up Josh Allen, Marvin Harrison Jr., George Kittle, Christian Kirk. He receives Mahomes, Kelsey, Chase, and Waddle. And he took out Waddle and Kirk. So instead, why is he taking shit out? So you would give up Allen, Harrison, Kittle for Mahomes, Kelsey, Chase. I like it less. See if you can get something else. I think I would still accept it though, because like I said, I still like Kelsey more than Kittle. I think I like Chase more than Harrison Jr. And then I don't know how big of a downgrade it is to Mahomes. So I think I would still do that trade. I'll give you guys one last second before we get out of here, and then I'll be coming right back with a couple of other people for Lombardi Sweep, a Green Bay Packers podcast. So we'll be talking about last week's game. We'll be going over the injury report for the Packers and Cardinals, talking about keys to victory, some predictions for Packers versus Cardinals. So definitely come back for that. Subscribe if you're not and like this video. Helps a ton. And if you want to ask fantasy football questions on the videos, on the live streams, on anything like that, we will answer them. And it helps the algorithm to have all of that action down in there in the comments there. So I would appreciate that as well. Our quest to get 17,000 subscribers. Would love you to do that. Also, I'm on Twitter at FantasyFlurry. I'll answer your fantasy questions over there, though. FlurrySports.org rankings are up there. We got streamers articles up for the week. We got Stardom Situm going up tomorrow. And if you have any requests for other articles you would like to see written by one of my crew or by me, whether that be trade value, whether that be buy sell, let me know. Let me know. I would love to provide you guys with as much content as you want, especially if it's something that you are not seeing or finding at another place that you really want to read. That would be cool. Would you trade Tyreek Hill for Drake London? Man, I think no. I think that may not be a popular take. I don't think so, though. I just don't see Tyreek Hill being this bad. Tua should come back in a couple weeks. And even if he doesn't, if there's any situation where Tyreek Hill continues to not be involved, it's not going to work. They're either going to bring in a different quarterback to make sure he's involved, or there's a chance he gets traded. Like, there's just no way Tyreek Hill is irrelevant the rest of the season. There's no shot. So, yeah, I'm going Tyreek Hill. I don't mind Drake London rest of the year. I just think he's a wide receiver 2 more often than he's a wide receiver 1, which I'm not loving. So, yeah, I wouldn't do that trade. I'm keeping Tyreek Hill. But, yeah, any final questions tonight or rest of the week, really, ask them in the comments below. I would